OTAs is a thing that I already said. It don't really matter. You know, who cares? Myles Garrett don't show up for OTAs. Who cares? But there are a couple of people that actually should be worried about OTAs. I'll get Quincy's thoughts on it. And when we come up with this episode of the Ultimate Brown Show. Ah, yes, the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. It's the Ultimate Brown Show right here on the UCSS Network. It's your boy G. Bush. Quincy Carrier is in the building. We want to thank you, everybody out there, for taking time on your Memorial Day weekend. Shout out to all the Browns fans out there. Shout out to all the Memorial Day and those who sacrificed and made the biggest sacrifice in the world to make sure that we can do what we can do over here. Quincy, how you doing, bro?
Doing good. Doing good. I thought we was gonna go the whole OTAs, man, without the whole getting mad at Myles Garrett for not being there. I thought we was there, man. But
listen, I'm the dude that says it don't matter, right? Like, I'm like, come on, but these dudes is like, come on. Myles Garrett won the champion. He won the defensive player of the year. He is who he is. Myles Garrett don't need to show up. You do not need it. Leadership is not the reason you need to show up at OTAs. That's not a thing. That is not a thing
for no leadership. No, obviously, you've been on football teams. The dude try to give leadership in spring. Oh, you don't like that dude.
Nah, like we're not. If you take leadership for you to come do your job and to rush the passer, that's not a thing, bro. You got to get your mind together, man. Like Myles Garrett. If you waiting on Myles Garrett to come, you work hard because Myles Garrett is there. You in trouble. You in trouble, Q. But I will say this. Let's get to this one. Now we talked about this on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show today, and we looked at it, and Elijah Moore is not in camp. Now look, I ain't looking at it like this from this angle, saying Elijah Moore need to be at camp. We're not saying that. But I will say this. If you are David Bell, if you are a Woods, if you are a guy who a Cedric Tillman, if you're a guy that wants to get more playing time, if you're a Jamari Thrash, if you're one of those guys, you're going to be there with Deshaun Watson. All the quarterbacks is there. Dorsey is there. Is there a potential that somebody could get some minutes that was not available to get minutes? Like, you think somebody could take advantage of the fact that, hey, I was at OTAs and I could make a couple plays and be a splash guy and hopefully make a contribution to this roster, even though Elijah Moore is not there?
I would say this. It's hard to do that when Deshaun's not really throwing full time, right? Like, Jameis is out there when Deshaun is there. He's really doing mental reps. Sometimes he's throwing, sometimes he's not. It's a little weird that he's not there. Like, he seems like one of them guys you just expect to be there. He's not of that class of player that kind of has the privilege to be out here not doing it. But I will say this, we don't know why he's not there, and that's why I will caution on going too hard on him for not being there, because it might not have anything to do about football.
Yeah, listen, I don't even look at I look at it like this. I like to stay consistent. I don't care if none of them don't show up, right? But we do know that it's, for some people, as you alluded to, there's a certain echelon that you got to get to for you to be not even a second thought. Myles Garrett, Batonio.
Just not talking about Myles Garrett not showing up, right? Like we was doing that. Remember last year? All the hot takes?
Myles Garrett got to show. I said, come on, man. He ain't got to come to none of that. Like, I will say this. Now this year, it more than anything, because there is a new offensive coordinator, and I've come to the conclusion that Dorsey is going to be calling these plays. Because there is a new offensive, he's calling these plays.
We should put a 20 on that, because I don't.
Q, I've been trying to get you to be on board. We're gonna figure this out.
We'll put a 20 spot on it.
We're gonna put a $20 with a friendly way.
We can't say the currency, but we'll put 20 on it.
Yeah, we'll put 20.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, all that good stuff. But yeah, I just feel like it's a new camp. I feel like it's a new, like, I think, like, if it was me, I'd be like, look, I need to have Dorsey find me a spot on this field. I need to find out. They gonna say, hey, G Bush can run all the curl routes, or G Bush, he really good at running this particular route, so you get your money off. For you, in terms of what the offense is, how much do you think is going to be shown throughout the preseason and OTAs? Because one of the things I've been disappointed in is we've been talking about this stupid offense for 2 and 3 years about how it's going to be different and how everybody going to be doing different stuff. I just didn't see that level of change throughout the year. How much do you believe that the offense is going to look and change as we look at this season?
It depends on how well you know what you're looking at. There's going to be more motion, pre-snap, post-snap motion. There are going to be some different slight variations to formations that look very familiar. But the concepts are the concepts. They're not going to change all of the concepts that they run or things like that. It's just going to be variations on how they're asked to be processed and how they're asked to be executed from the wide receiver standpoint. I think there's going to be a little bit more freedom for some guys in this offense when it comes to what routes they run when they can break off routes versus certain types of coverages. And that thing, like, I think, remember the whole Odell Beckham controversy over he was freelancing or whatever it was
Right.
that people accused him of doing. Yeah, that's not going to be a thing because that's going to be something that they expect out of their wide receivers in this offense. It's going to be different in how it's processed and how it's executed. But I wouldn't go out here thinking that you're going to see them in wildly different formations and it's going to look like you running a completely different offense. That's what they're changing. Deshaun Watson, they've been running concepts Deshaun Watson likes. They've just been asking him to run it in a way that he's not familiar with running those concepts. So it's a change on that, which seems like it's slight, but I think that's probably one of the bigger changes you can make. It's not a super visual change, but it's there. So yeah, I'm with you on this where I don't think it's going to be so different that it's going to look like they're running a completely different offense. They're still going to have some staples in there, but how it's processed is going to be different. Like, when you look at Baltimore, they changed offensive coordinators. It's not a completely different offense that they're running there in Baltimore. It's just a change in the philosophy of how routes are put together. That changed there, right? But when you watch them play, they're still in a lot of pistol. They're still running the same concepts that worked really well with Lamar Jackson, still utilizing the middle of the field. It's just a different way to get to that's more comfortable for the wide receivers to be able to work in space. And I think it'll be a similar type change to that.
Yeah, and look, I tell people all the time, I don't feel like when I say Dorsey's going to have the play calling, it's not going to be that big of a difference. Like, all the coaches are going to contribute to the pool of plays that they're going to call each and every Sunday. So he'll have input for that time period, right? He'll even have input on, here's our second and short packages. Here's our third and long packages. Like, it'll be a menu of different plays that they can pick from and choose to call. So even if Kevin Stefanski is calling the plays, you can still see the fingerprints of Dorsey on what you want to do. Here's the thing I'm thinking. I do believe that there will be some different things that are different. At times when we would see run plays back in the day where it was, a second and medium. Sometimes I do think there would be throws. There'll be throws at certain points in time. They may use the short throw as a extended part of the running game. So I do think you might see that, but I don't think it's going to be anything dramatic where you look up and you be like, oh my goodness, they're running a run and shoot now. No, I don't think that's going to be it.
Yeah. I think some people are like, oh, we're going to be in shotgun all day and all that. They're going to be like, they were in 11 a lot last year when Deshaun Watson was out there. It kind of changed when Joe Flacco went out there. But, I think it's going to be just the processing part of it's going to be different, right? It's not going to be so strict on like, okay, he gets to his fifth step. He has to get rid of this ball on this hitch. Like, that's been the stuff where I'm like, that's where the wires have crossed with this whole transition. You just want Deshaun to be able to process things in the way that he's comfortable processing them. And that doesn't mean that he goes downfield all the time, but it does mean that he can see things a little bit clearer and have that time to see things clear. You're going to ask more out of your offensive lineman for sure when you're doing it that way. But I think that's the way they're going to be doing it.
And speaking of offensive linemen, we're going to jump into the offensive line play. We had a conversation, about a second ago. We talked about Jed Wills and some things that we've been seeing out of your offensive linemen. We'll talk about what do you see from them in the OTAs. We'll also get to overall, like, who's guys that you may see as guys that may be very pivotal for what the Browns want to do, given the fact that they're going to change the way that they play a little bit. We'll talk about the offensive line coach. Is there a big deal that Callahan is not going to be there? And will the Cleveland Browns be considered a finesse team or a hard-nosed team that likes to run the football? We'll talk all things offensive line with Quincy coming back. You're listening to the Ultimate Brown Show right here on the UCSS Network. All right, let's talk about the people at Game Time. NBA playoffs are in full effect, and my dream has been scoring courtside seats. Well, now with the Game Time, it's an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in-one prices, views from your seat, and the lowest prices guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. And what I love so much is the Game Time app because it is so easy. The last minute tickets are awesome. Flash deals, zone deals. You can also find and buy MLB tickets, and you can do that for concerts and every other type of event in your area. It's the lowest price guarantee. It has event cancellation protection and even job loss protection if you're buying the tickets in the future. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code word LOCKED ON for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Agree. Again, create an account and redeem the code word LOCKED, LOCKED ON for $20 off of your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed from Game Time. Welcome back to the Ultimate Browns. G. Bush, Quincy Carrier on the Memorial Day weekend. Make sure you staying safe out there. Quincy, you got something going on the grill, dog?
Nah, man, not really. I live that apartment lifestyle, so
that condo life is rough, huh? You know what I'm saying? You can't. They don't be allowing grills.
Well, also, I don't eat red meat or pork anymore, so it's hard to really do barbecue.
This is crazy. You see, this is what I'm talking about. I be having a problem with Earl. Y'all be just springing life decisions on a brother. I didn't even know this. Like, we talk off the air all the time, and this guy, well, I really don't need red meat or pork.
I haven't done it for a while though. Like, this has been kind of consistent with me for a little while. It's just I got more serious about it the last couple of years. I have a heart condition, so I was born with a heart condition. Yeah. So.
Look, this dude, you think you know someone till they bring up the heart condition you never know they had. Somebody, think about it. If you was to pass out somewhere, they'd be like, "Gee, did you know something?" I'm like, "Man, I ain't know nothing, dog."
Hey, bro, I'm not expecting. Don't diagnose me. Get me to the people who can do something about it. Me.
Nah, dog. Get me some help, bro. Well, one thing I will say, man, shout out to y'all. If y'all gonna do something out there, man, stay safe. And remember what we doing Memorial Day for in the first place, man. So let's talk offensive line, man. One guy that we have not heard too much of, and he's been under the radar. I don't know how you can fly under the radar, but he has done it. One, Jed Wills. First and foremost, I will say Jed Wills played much better at the end of last year before he got hurt. Actually, to be truthful, I think that the Browns missed Jed Wills when we got down to the nitty-gritty and we had them boys off the street. It was like we needed to find out. We was keeping tight ends in. We was doing everything we could to get the ball off. And Jed Wills is going into his fifth year. Now you've always been a guy that's been even keeled on Jed Wills, man. Some of the stuff on the Twitter, it get kind of crazy because you be seeing Jed Wills just stop. I'll be going crazy. I'll be throwing my hats and stuff. Is Jed Wills right now, in his 5th year, do you think Jed Wills has lived up to the 10th overall pick?
Not really. Like, he's not what you would say, let me put it like this. He's not best case scenario for a 10th overall pick. He's most common scenario for like a 10th overall pick. It's like we want to get a superstar with the 10th overall pick. You hope to get a superstar with the 10th overall pick. You can also get Justin Gilbert with the 10th overall pick. I believe he was actually the 8th overall pick, right?
That was nasty.
And then most of the time, you get a dude who can start. Right? Like that's usually what a first round pick turns into, is a dude who can start most of the time if you're in the better half of teams evaluating talent. And the Browns are. So I think Jed Wills, it's about what the mid-case scenario was, right? Like it's not a best case. It's not a worst case.
It's not Mekhi Becton, right?
Yeah. And you know what? You didn't lose money. You didn't gain money. You just stayed about at inflation, right? Like, it wasn't a home run. It wasn't a failure. You just kind of neutral money there with Jed.
It's like you spend $20 on scratch offs and you win just enough to go back and get your $20 back. So you now get to say, do I want more scratch offs or just break even?
It's basically you put your money in a bond fund to go with the market instead of putting that money in NVIDIA. And look, NVIDIA went crazy. You could have doubled, tripled, and quadrupled your money, but you didn't do that. But you also didn't put your money in like
Dogecoin.
Intel, right? Yeah, I put some money in Intel. You put your money in Intel. Intel went down 50%, right? So, it's you just stay neutral with Jed. And I think that's a hard thing for people to accept at times, but it is what it is. Yeah, he not Tristan Wirfs, but you know who else he ain't? He ain't Mekhi Becton, right?
Yeah, you could have got Becton there.
Yeah, Mekhi Becton already on his second team, and it ain't looking like he about to start.
So let's get to this. You take a look at the offensive line, and the offensive line has been, at one point in time, they were all what I call knuckle draggers. Those guys are individuals that like to get up to the line of scrimmage. They were maulers. You had your most recognizable and best players were at guard, which is kind of unusual in the NFL. Then you found Ethan Pocic, which was a nice find. So you end up with this offensive line, and when you got Deshaun Watson, a lot of people don't realize is that Deshaun Watson goes off script a lot, right? We kind of laughed and joked about, being on script and being off script in terms of, Russell Wilson and why sometimes Russell looks bad because he refuses to get to his back foot, release the ball, and just play on time. Now, when you do have a quarterback like Deshaun Watson and you don't, you're not on time a lot, or not even say when you're on time, but he likes to, one of his best attributes is kind of extending plays and making something out of nothing. How do you think they've transitioned to the fact that Deshaun does move around a lot? And when you do have that, you have a lot of times where you can get holding penalties. You can do some things, legal man downfield. How do you think that they've kind of adjusted to that, or they really haven't seen it because Deshaun hasn't played that much?
Yeah, you've only really seen it when Deshaun or PJ Walker was out there because Jacoby Brissett and Joe Flacco and DTR don't really play a super improvisational heavy style. Like DTR got rid of the ball quicker than anybody, I think at 1.86 seconds in the pocket. So you're not really dealing with a lot of improvisation there. Yeah, we'll see. They're going to have not just, and this is one of the underrated things. You talked about it a little bit, but it's one of the most underrated things about this team. We talk so much about Deshaun Watson, new offensive coordinator. He takes so much air in that room. But one of the things we haven't talked about is new run game coordinator, new offensive line coach. That's going to be a complete change of strategy about how they go about the run game. It could bring about better things because we saw the run game needed to be improved down the stretch. but it could be about, it could be a difficult transition for some players. It might be something where you get better out of Jed Wills, but Wyatt Teller struggles. It's going to be interesting to see how they adjust to that, because there's going to be some serious changes from a structural level for this offensive line.
Yeah, the Bill Callahan thing is fascinating, because when you talk about the run game and the run concept and the run game coordinator, I think it's a little different when you got the run coordinator and you're used to a certain way that you guys go about things. You're used to how you pass stuff off. You're used to the concepts that he wants you to use. Now, with an offense, and that's one of my big things. And I do like the schedule in the early part of the year, because it's not heavy on AFC North teams. I think they were heavy on AFC North teams. I think it would kind of suck a little bit, because you have a chance that you could be in adjustment period, figuring out what they want to do offensively. You have a bunch of teams outside of the division, which I would rather play those guys when I'm trying to figure out what the run game is going to be. Also getting readjusted and reacclimated to, hey, this is the first time Nick Chubb has seen some of that stuff with the offense in the run game and things like that. So I do think it may be an adjustment period with that. But like you said, it could be better in some areas, and it could be a little slower in the other.
Yeah. And also, I wonder, because they drafted Zach Zinter, and I'm thinking to myself, they usually like to get them more athletic guards, right? And Zach Zinter is not a great athlete at that position. So I'm like, are they going to down block more out the gun? Which we've been asking them to do.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's just going to be straight up zone blocking instead of like a wide zone scheme. Because you see the Browns, they'll pull their guards and put them at tackle or play action.
They'll pull center. These guys get aggressive with the pull game.
Yeah, they be pulling, right? So I'm like, that was a staple of what Callahan liked to do. Now, is that going to change, or are we just going to ask guys to be powerful? Because I do think Wyatt Teller is a great athlete, but he's gotten older.
Yes.
And you look at DeJuan Jones, he's not great at hitting targets in space. So maybe the plan might be put these guys in a position to be strong.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if we pull somebody, we'll pull Wyatt, we'll pull Joe, but we're not going to pull them as much as we used to. But what we know about, especially that right side of that offensive line, is that these guys are strong. So, like, how is that going to be something that plays to the strength of a Ethan Posick, right? Is it going to be something that continues to play to a strength of a Joe Bitonio? I know it's going to play to the strengths of a DeJuan Jones. You could say Wyatt Teller. You see Zach Zinter in there, which is interesting because I believe Zach Zinter played right guard in college. Yeah. So, and then you have Jed Wills, who I thought he was strong at Alabama, at least when he can get his hands on guys and get downhill like that.
Yeah.
So, I think they're going to be a bit more brutish. Like, the Browns have been described as a run-heavy team, but they're more of a finessed run-heavy team where they like to move their big guys and get them out running. Now they're going to be I think they're going to be going downhill and just kind of like just straight up powering guys.
And that makes a lot of sense, because you got Deontay Foreman, and you mentioned the right side of the offensive line. I mean, that's two of them. Wyatt Teller is built like a brick. That's like a brick.
Yes, sir.
All right, when we get to it, we got one more segment to go, man. We're gonna get into it. This might be my favorite segment. Which game of the 2024 season is gonna tell you the most about the Browns? Not your favorite, not the worst, not the best, but what do you think is gonna tell you the most about the Cleveland Browns? We'll come back and do that right here on the UCSS Network. I always tell you, man, we always rocking and rolling, man. We got every single day of the week, we got some new stuff for you. The first place Cleveland Guardians. If you want to learn about them, you want to get going with those guys have been balling out every Monday. Zach Meisel and Adam the Bull give you some of the best baseball content in the city, bar none. Right now, the Cavs is hot as fish grease. New coach, JB, is on the move. Kobe Altman talked today. What we doing with Donovan Mitchell? He going to resign. Darius Garland, is he out? Jared Allen. What's going on with all this? Just leave it to McNuggets and Jason Lloyd, and they'll let you get to everything right there. Usually every Tuesday on the Ultimate Cavaliers. And then we got my bro Earl the Pearl every Thursday, Ultimate 216, Mr. Sports and Culture. So make sure you check that out. And of course, it's me. It's me, your boy G Bush, Monday and Fridays. We got great guests on, like my man Quincy Carrier right now, Tyvis Powell. We stay with all the Darren Smith comes on. So we got everything covered. Keep it locked to the UCSS network for the best content in all of sports in Cleveland. All right, we back at it, man. We ready to go, man. Quincy Carrier, G Bush in here.
Man, where'd you take that picture for that promo?
Huh?
Where do you take that picture for that promo for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports? I ain't never see you out here cheesing like that.
Like they was like, yeah, first day we got it. We went to the studio. There's like, be animated. I was like, well, animated, dog.
You know what you see Friday, right?
Right.
and they be like, hey, daddy, how I look? Da, 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 like a damn snake.
Man, yo, they got me. And then you know how they do when you take one picture, they just use it. They like, yeah, we using it. So
no,
it never went nowhere.
You got to put a request in, man. They can't be having my boy out here.
Hey, you got
with the 8th grade field trip pose.
Right, that boy. They's like, you gotta get that. Matter of fact, I might have to put that in. Steve, if you watching, man, I'm pulling an executive decision. Get rid of that photo. And if I get into a rap beat,
you need to get man. What if something happened to you? That's the photo they gonna put up on the news, G.
Now you gonna put it up on me? I'm gonna be disappearing now.
You get a raise and hit the news. G Bush got a raise. Oh no, y'all not about to do it like that.
You know, that schedule came out, Q, and there's a lot of games I'm interested in. You know, but there's some games I'm gonna figure something out about, right? And I think one of the games that I got, first of all, the first game I saw was the Cowboys game, and I'm like, oh, it's the Cowboys, whatever the case may be. That's self-explanatory. But you mentioned something off here I felt like was fire. You said you looking forward to the Eagles game. And I was with you on that one because when you was like, why you think I like the Eagles? I said, man, Eagles got everything they want on offense. They got 2 good receivers. They got Saquon Barkley. They got a dual threat quarterback. They physical up front. The Eagles, they can get it done. But you said you was interested for another reason. You don't let them know what you was talking about.
You talking about a reaction?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, because look, no matter how that game ends, Browns and Eagles, we will be overreacting, right? Like people will be overreacting because that is going to be the first real test that you're going to have, right? Week 1 is week 1. You could be anybody week 1. It don't really matter. We didn't even take the Lions seriously until way into the playoffs, right? They beat the Chiefs in week 1. So week 1 is week 1. Nobody builds a reputation for the year off week 1. But by the time you get to week 6, these kind of matchups do matter and are anticipated. Remember, the turning point of the season last year was when the Cleveland Browns beat the San Francisco 49ers minus their starting quarterback.
Right.
That was the big turning point. That's when this team and the city got the confidence in this team that they could be able to achieve something. And I think that game versus Philadelphia will be a similar point. Now, it's not going to be the most statistically impactful game because it's an NFC game. It doesn't really affect you in tiebreakers. But when we come from how we feel, if the Browns no show in that game, we're going to be concerned about if this team is really living up to what they did last year all year, because you want to show up. That's going to be the first real big test of the season for the Cleveland Browns and how they show up. And that's going to set the tone for the rest of the year because, again, Browns showing up against the 49ers, whether they win that game or not, change the tone about how we speak about that team for the rest of the year. That game's going to be a similar thing.
And, you know, that's the game I'm looking forward to because I get an opportunity this year to see Deshaun Watson go up against a lot of people. And when I mean going up against a lot of people, I mean going up against other quarterbacks where other quarterbacks may make some throws, may need to do some things. And Deshaun Watson is going to have to come back and answer those throws or come back and lead his team to a drive. So that game to me has all of the markings of figuring out whether or not you are a a not only just a AFC contender, but a Super Bowl contender, and playing at Philadelphia in the middle of the season when everybody else should be worked up. You shouldn't have many injuries.
And it's on the road.
And it's on the road.
In Philly. Look, here's what I mean by we're going to overreact either way. You lose in Philly, people going to lose their mind. Oh, we not serious. We can't do it. And then it's a road game, week 6 in Philly. Like, people are going to it's going to be going cool. A little while, right? If we win that game in Philly.
Oh, you crazy.
Oh, you can't tell me nothing.
Nothing. You know how many blogs? You're going to have 6 blogs.
Hey, hey, you're not going to be able to tell me a thing. Hey. A singular thing.
Listen, I tell you what, like, they win that game, I think and especially if Deshaun plays well. Like, see, here's what this is the first time, Q, you're gonna have to worry about this. You don't have to worry about this, Q. This is the first time that you're going to actually have to table or taper your expectations, because you know what's gonna happen when the first time Deshaun plays very good in a game which the Browns win against a primetime candidate or a team. People gonna go crazy. They're gonna because everybody's been waiting to see it, and there's a lot of people that's been in the Deshaun Watson camp that's been like, I'm telling you, he gonna ball, and the second he balls against one of these teams, they're gonna be like, he's the greatest quarterback I've ever seen for the Browns.
We saw how people was going after that one half, right? And I think it's funny to me that one half is what everybody hyped up. I'm like, the body of work was much better than that one half that he had against Baltimore. Like,
it was a name brand.
Yeah. But it's that big game, right? It was a big game. It was a semi-nat. Like 10 million people watched it. So, yeah, I mean, those kind of things matter. These national TV games, it matters when you show up in those games. These big-time games, it matters when you show up in these games, right? The Cleveland Browns are going to be a good team for the next couple of years, more than likely. They have enough talent on the roster to be a good team. The question of the Cleveland Browns is, are you going to be a good team that's serious? Like the 49ers, like the Kansas City Chiefs, you know, like, do we still say Cincinnati, right?
Yeah,
Cincinnati,
serious. Yeah,
Cincinnati serious. Or are you going to be one of them good teams that's not serious, like Buffalo, like Dallas, right? Where we're just waiting on, like, all right, yeah, okay, when they gonna do the thing? When y'all gonna do the thing? Huh?
When they gonna fall off? When they gonna do the thing?
Like, this is the question, and it's going to be super interesting because that same question could be applied to Philadelphia too. So these are going to be two teams that are not going to want to be taken unseriously. But yeah, that's why it's my pick, and I think this is going to be super interesting. Also,
hey, listen, you keep it locked all fall. Listen, it's a great time to be a Browns fan. There's so much content that's going to be out every single day. You're going to have opportunity. It's content everywhere, bro. And it ain't nothing better.
It's like the Jeezy song. We got this, that, the third, everything that you want.
Everything you want, bro.
Just tell me the word.
With that being said, you ain't got to tell us where we gonna go. We'll be right here giving you that content. You know what it is, man. We got your fix for you, man. If you're a junkie for the Browns content, we got your fix for you. With that being said, happy Memorial Day. You don't never know where I'm gonna be. I might be on the internet, television, radio. Who knows? It's gonna be.
Gee, I just don't want you to know they're gonna put a poster up to promote the show, and then you gonna be out there.
Howdy, hey.
Look at me, y'all.
With that being said, you ain't gonna leave. We gonna leave. We
ain't on the bus.
We playing around with Quincy. This guy be playing around. You got me out here looking crazy. Don't you be trying to diss me with my own picture, man. We gotta go.
It's a hard picture, man. It's a hard picture for sure.
QNC was like, we better not ever get in a beef. That's the first thing I'm coming with.
Hey, bro, if I see that on the Rita, if I see Auntie Rita with that on the side, I'm gonna take a pic and ride the bus just to let you know.
Hey, we gotta mute his mic. We gotta.